I know for a fact that this season we are going to win silverware. Welcome back to the Arsenal Humans podcast with me, Luce. You're probably wondering why I'm back so soon, and if you didn't listen to the end of my last episode, I basically just wanted to add a little bonus episode of my season predictions because I realised that obviously last season I actually didn't do any predictions because I set up this podcast last November. So obviously we were well into the Premier League, a couple months into the WSL as well. So I felt like it would have been a bit wasted for me to do predictions when we already knew roughly how the league was going to go and we already knew how players were performing and everything. But I thought this would be a great way to then reflect at the end of the season a couple of my predictions because I thought it would just be best to say it on here because my digital footprint would have tracked what I said, so I actually can't take it back. So I can't be like, oh yeah, I thought this player would do really well and they actually do really bad, but then I pretend I didn't think they'd do well. You know, like I can't say any of that because it would have been recorded. I am going to keep it brief. There's just a few predictions that I want to make, and I feel like ultimately the main thing for Arsenal this season is winning silverware, both the men and women. The women, we want to carry on showing that we are the best in Europe and we won the Champions League last season for a reason, but how can we build on that? We've got to the peak, we've got to the top of the women's game, but then how can we stay up there? Oh, let's get more silverware, you know? That sort of vibe. The men, can we actually get some silverware, please? Like, can we actually do something with our season? That would be amazing. So I thought, you know what, let me just talk about silverware. So let's firstly start with the men's game because the Premier League actually kicks off. This is going out Thursday, so it actually kicks off in literally like 4 days' time for Arsenal, which is crazy. We will face United. But instead of focusing on that game, I'm just going to focus on Arsenal seasons as a whole. I think in terms of where Arsenal will finish, this might be a little bit controversial because I think I've been so positive about Arsenal, but I've actually got to the point where I don't want to be delusional and I don't want to be thinking too positively. I'd rather think a little bit negatively and then be surprised that we've done better than I thought rather than the other way around. So I actually think that Arsenal will finish third in the Premier League this season, which might come as a shock because if you look at all my videos, I've been so excited and I think, yeah, we could still win the Premier League. Don't get me wrong, like I am hopeful. But I think if you look at Liverpool's squad, they are very, very strong. If you look at Man City, they just had a bit of a weird season, a bit of a dip, but I do think they've got a strong squad. Even Chelsea, they've on the back of winning the Conference League, which isn't that deep, but then they went ahead and won the Club World Cup against PSG, who won the Champions League and beat us, obviously. So I think, yes, their squad is young, but it is so promising. So I think it's got to be out of these four teams. I do think, yes, Arsenal could still win it. This is not me saying, oh my God, no, we're only going to come third now. We're not going to come above that. This is just my realistic prediction because I think that's all I can do on here. And I'd love to, at the end of the season, be saying, oh my God, you should be more optimistic. But I just don't want to come across as too delusional. So I'm going to say third. However, I do think that third in the Premier League is a good position because I know for a fact that this season we are going to win silverware. I reckon that silverware will come in the form of the FA Cup, but also we will reach the finals of the Champions League, whether that's semi-final or the actual final. I'd love us to win it, but I'm not going to put that down because I don't want to jinx it. But I definitely do think we will have silverware. Key players this season, I think Gyökeres is going to be a key player. We've already seen how he's transformed the club already. Just in that one game, we saw him attacking so often, setting up other players, obviously finding the net himself. So I'm very excited for him, and I do think that, yes, there's a lot of hype on him, but I do think that he will be a key player this season. Well, one of them anyways. I think Saka will be a key player as well. I think Miles Lewis-Skelly, Ethan Waneri, they will carry on being key players. But I just think Gyökeres, for me, will stand out this season. Hopefully, I don't jinx that one. But saying that, I don't think he's going to be the best signing because I think he's going to be a key player in terms of how many goals he scores. He's going to be our top goal scorer in my opinion. But I think our best signing will be Zubimendi. I feel like a lot of people have almost written him off, overlooked him for, yeah, he's a good signing for squad depth. But I think what he's going to do in that midfield space is going to be so crucial. It's going to allow more options for Rice, it's going to allow more options for Ødegaard and allow them to push up the pitch. And I think just by having him in the squad, that's really going to impact us positively. So I'm actually really excited to see. I kind of hope I haven't jinxed it with that one, but I'm excited to see, and I feel like it's a bit of a player that people haven't really mentioned too much. So I'm hoping he does well. I also do think it's important in my season predictions, when I was thinking, what can I actually predict? I thought, let me predict whether the manager will still be at the club this time next season. I think Arteta will still be at the club because he's won an FA Cup. I think for a lot of people it's about him winning the Champions League or the Premier League, but I'm like, we actually need to just get slowly back into winning some sort of silverware. I think we need to be competing. That's why I said we're going to reach the finals of the Champions League, we're going to come in the top 3 of the Premier League, we're going to reach the finals of the League Cup, but we're going to win that silverware in the FA Cup at least, and I think he'll keep his spot. So who knows? They're my predictions. Obviously, let me know down in the comments below. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, you can also comment over there as well. I'd love to know whether you agree, disagree with anything I've said, whether you think maybe I'm being a bit too realistic with third position. I do think anywhere in the top 3. I think anything less 4th or below is disappointing for Arsenal, and I'd see Arteta leaving. But if Arteta does what I've sort of predicted, I see no issue with him keeping his job, because he's proved that we can win silverware, and that's basically how people judge you nowadays, and have always judged you, is based off your silverware. So let me know if you agree, disagree, whatever you want to know, down in the comments below. Moving on to the women's side, because obviously WSL does kick off in about a month's time. League position, we're going to win the WSL. There is no doubt in my mind that we're going to win the WSL. Like, I actually don't understand a world where we won't win it, because I think if you look at our squad depth, I know this sounds really like crazy confident, but if you look at our squad depth, we have one of the best squad depths in the WSL now, and you actually can't argue with that. I think, yes, obviously Chelsea have a phenomenal squad depth. They've just got Ellie Carpenter in. Do they need another defender? Probably not. But I just think for them, yeah, they've won the treble last season. They're not going to do that again this season. I think they're going to have a really good shot at the Champions League. I think, obviously, they came up against Barcelona in earlier rounds. And maybe if that was Arsenal, we might not have got through to the final. Obviously, we did end up beating them in the final, but that's just a one-off game. So you never know. Their path could be completely different this Champions League. So I'm not saying that they're not going to have success. I just think for us, we're going to have great success, if that makes sense. So I'm very optimistic. I think if we keep doing what we're doing, the players we've got in, our attacking threats are crazy. Some of the best in the league. And I think also how we gelled against Barcelona in the Champions League final, if we go into every single game, no matter who the team is, with that mentality of we need to win this game, we need the 3 points, I have no doubt we can win that league. So league position, I'm going optimistic, but also I think it's kind of realistic. I think top 2 anyways for the WSL, but definitely we can come first. Silverware, obviously I've just mentioned the WSL a few times, and I do think we can get another cup like the FA Cup. I think Champions League would be amazing. I definitely think we can get far in the competition because we've got that experience. We know we've been there, and I mean, imagine for Kim Little, it's probably going to be her last season, so imagine if she wins that in her last season, that would be just crazy. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I do think that we'll be able to stop other teams from doing the quadruple or treble. So if we can get the WSL and the FA Cup, that's 2 pieces of silverware that we haven't actually won for a while. We've won the League Cup, we've obviously won the Champions League. If we can prove that we compete on all platforms and in all competitions, then that is what we'd like to see. So I think looking at that, and obviously looking at Slager's job, Slagers is going to be in a job for another year. She's going to be in that job by the end of the season. I mean, this will be her first full season in charge, so that's why I think I'm so excited, because we've got Slagers from the get-go, so the possibilities are actually just endless of where we can go with this team, and I'm very excited. As you can tell, I'm just can't stop smiling about it. I'm very hopeful about the squad, and I can't wait to go. I don't know if any of you, comment down below if you are a season ticket holder for the women's side, because I will be at the Emirates for I'm hoping I can get to all of them if I'm not working, all the home games at the Emirates Stadium. So I'm so excited to see Arsenal perform and get the football season underway. I'm very looking forward to it. In terms of key players, I think I could list all players that Arsenal have, but I just picked up one player in my head that I think gets overlooked a lot, and that is Caitlin Ford. I think she was robbed of not getting the Ballon d'Or nomination. What she has done this season, I think definitely the start of the season she was undeniably the best winger we had, because she would just go in and out. She wouldn't stop. I think her resilience and her determination are the 2 qualities that make her stand out so much. But I think she's going to be a key player this season, especially because, it might be a bit controversial actually, because we've got new players coming in, but I think that's why she's going to perform even better than she has previously, which is kind of impossible because she's been so good. I think it's going to almost spur her on to have to do better because she is fighting for her position in that squad. I mean, we've seen rumours, obviously I mentioned in the last episode, if you go back a couple of days ago on Tuesday, that Beth Mead is rumoured to be moving to another club, and I think our attacking players, whether that's from the midfield, the wingers or the strikers, are under threat now of leaving the club because we're building so much squad depth that you have to be the best of the best, otherwise you're going to leave inevitably. So I think that she's going to, I really do feel like Caitlin Ford will be a key player this season, amongst many others, but just if I had to think of one off the top of my head, I'd say her. Okay, so that's actually really annoying. My camera's basically just died and I'm actually on my way out soon, so I don't have time to charge it up and record this last little section. But obviously I was just mentioning the player of the season, or the signing of the season, should I say. I think it's going to be Taylor Hines, and I think that's partly because if you look at our squad from last year, the key aspect and the key positioning we really needed to work on, for me, it had to be the defence. I think obviously, yes, you had Leonisson showing up in the finals and you had all the defenders putting their all in the whole season, but I think Taylor Hines is a great signing to strengthen that up in the defence. So yeah, I'm very excited. I feel like she's got big things planned for the club. And yeah, I'm just really excited for the season to get underway. So obviously I'm really sorry that if you are watching on YouTube, you can't actually see my face right now. If you're listening on Spotify, it's not really made a difference. But I hope you enjoyed watching this episode. I'm really excited to get the season underway, and I'm hoping that my predictions, whether you think the men's are a bit too realistic or the women's are a bit too positive, I really hope that my predictions either happen or that actually exceeded, because we've done better than I thought. Probably looking towards the men's side because I think the women's, I've set their expectations quite high anyways. But yes, I hope you've enjoyed watching and listening. If you have enjoyed watching, then please subscribe. And if you have enjoyed listening, then please follow on Spotify. This feels really weird. I feel like I'm just basically turned into a bit of a radio show because I'm just looking around the room because I know the camera's not looking at me, so kind of different vibe. But anyways, yes, I hope you've enjoyed this episode and I'm super excited. Next Tuesday, I'll be diving into basically the league because we've started the Premier League this weekend, which I'm buzzing about. If you go to last episode, I mentioned a few little predictions of how I think that will go against United. And yeah, before I carry on waffling, have a good day, have a good week. I'll see you guys on Tuesday and then see you next Friday with another guest for the Arsenal Humans fan zone, which I'm super excited about. That has been all edited and I'm so ready to post it. So yes, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I'll see you on Tuesday.